Happy December 18th, and welcome to MicroStrategy Today, the only daily show bringing you MicroStrategy insights and intel 7 days a week. Today's show is going to be great, my friends. We're talking about the Bitcoin reserve. We're talking about why Michael Saylor is hitting the ATM so hard and what it really means. I have a great tweet that I found that gives some amazing perspective, in my opinion, on MicroStrategy. I have 4 great video clips that I dug up that you are not going to want to miss, and so much more. And remember, this is not financial advice. Consult a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. And let's dive into the tracker, which has the stock price at 386. Had a little dip yesterday of about 5%. It's at 99 out of 100 for the S&P 500. Of course, number 1 out of 60 for corporate holdings. The Bitcoin value per share did drop to 188 from 192 yesterday because the NAV premium also dropped to 2.0, which is actually the lowest that I've seen it since I started covering MicroStrategy, which to me is just that coiling of a spring getting ready to explode upwards. When the time is right, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what my opinion is. The unrealized profit loss is 18.8 billion. The return percentage is 69%. And in my opinion, good things ahead. And let's move over to the Catylsts. Today is the day of the Fed meeting. The December Fed meeting is today. So finally, a decision will be made. We all know and expect what it's going to be, which is really cool. But of course, only time will tell. But once that time is told, then people can start allocating massive capital going forward, very confident in what that looks like. So there's a lot of people on hold right now on the sidelines, just waiting for those words to be spoken. The QQQ inclusion/reconstitution in 2 days. Of course, it's been happening all week and probably into next week as well, but they've got to wrap this up very quickly. And as you'll see in an upcoming tweet that I'm going to be sharing with you, a lot of inflows have been happening marking that. Let's move into the news articles. We've got the Bitcoin all-time high stopped short of the 110 mark. That was a pretty awesome rally. You saw it top off at 108. And then it's, of course, retrace because that's what Bitcoin does. It's volatile. It goes up, surge, retraces, surge, retraces. And we've seen 7 weeks now going into our 8th week of positive surges with retracements. And I have a graph I'll be showing you in a second here as well. And so, again, this is one of the reasons is because more companies are adopting the MSTR play. And again, reached an all-time high of 108,268. As these different companies are joining the MicroStrategy playbook. I mean, look at this chart. Thing of beauty. Surge, choppy, pullback, surge, pullback, surge, surge, pullback, surge, pullback, surge, pullback. This is the world that we live in, but it's up and to the right as you zoom out, my friends. And that is exactly the world that we want to be living in. Volatility is a feature. It's not a bug. Please remember that and understand that because it's going to help us in the very turbulent year ahead because there's going to be a lot of exciting days and then some frustrating days followed by some very exciting days. I wanted to share this right here about Trump being serious about the Bitcoin reserve, says MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor. Buy it now and own the future. Michael Saylor says, buy it now and own the future. That's exciting times. So this is where he just kind of goes into some things that Donald Trump has been saying and what Cynthia Lummis has been saying and doing. I mean, Cynthia is out there beating the trail, just talking to people, having conversations to clear the way for this Bitcoin reserve. So she's working her tail off for us, my friends. Best of luck, Cynthia. This is a tweet that I wanted to share, Bitcoin for corporations. In the last 24 hours, MicroStrategy, Metaplanet, Riot Platforms, and Summer Scientific collectively stacked 16,352 Bitcoin, cementing Bitcoin as their premier corporate treasury asset. And here's the companies that are doing it. Before long, we're not going to have enough space on the pages and pages of companies that are doing this because why wouldn't you? Who wouldn't? Exciting times. I wanted to share this with you from Adrian. This person always does some great tweets. MicroStrategy had 3 times their average daily inflows yesterday, but y'all are worried about the ATM. Time to get your heads in the game, chill, higher. And that is the reality, my friends. We need to chill. It is going higher. This NASDAQ 100 inflows were an awesome opportunity for Michael Saylor to tap the ATM, get some more money, buy some more Bitcoin, and stack it before it does what we all know it's going to do. go higher in the upcoming year of 2025, my friends. So let's just have some perspective. And then this tweet's going to help you with that, I believe. I'm going to go ahead and read this. And of course, I'll post this tweet in the show notes as well. I think the problem, let me just go up to give this person credit. It's live life well and see. I think the problem is a matter of distorted perceptions mistaken for reality. A more zoomed out picture and a accurate view might be helpful. One, the frenetic accumulation of Bitcoin before nation state and corporate adoption in their strategic reserves is a great thing. It's not a bad thing. Again, my friends, we are front running the US government. We are front running other nation states. We are front running pensions. You are, I am. Let's keep doing it. Number two, Saylor said in 2020 when he learned about Bitcoin, he couldn't sleep at night because he thought everyone was going to buy it up. Now that's actually the case. We are T minus 1 month away before full on game theory ludicrous mode hits. Less than 1 month, my friends, from ludicrous mode. Let's get excited about this because it's going to be ludicrous. Let's go. Three, Saylor has always underpromised and overdelivered, and he said quickly, we may go faster than anticipated. Four, it wasn't clear that the election would be resolved so favorably and quickly in October for a Bitcoin president with 34 felony convictions and a rather corrupt opposition. So had Harris Gensler won, or if there was a dispute over the election, Saylor likely would not have been this aggressive. Five, Saylor cares more about maintaining as the top performing company than anyone else on the planet Earth. His ego is severely tied to MicroStrategy's performance on every metric, to include the options metric and volatility. He's got that locked in for this year, and now the priority has to be locking in as much Bitcoin as cheaply as possible and as quickly as possible, regardless of all else. And that's what I want you guys to remember, this point number 5. I see a lot of people in the comments. You're frustrated about the ATM. You're frustrated about the price seemingly being suppressed a little bit because we're looking at it in just a few week period. Again, you zoom out 6 months, the stock's up like 160%. That's insane. It's way more than double Bitcoin. It's like almost triple Bitcoin, in fact. But guess what? I get the near-term frustration, but here's the reality. Michael Saylor cares more about his shareholders, you and me, than anybody else. He cares more about the performance of his stock, MicroStrategy, than anything else. Do you think he doesn't want to be able to say in 2025 that MicroStrategy was the number one performing stock in the world for a 5th straight year? Of course he wants to say that, and he's setting the stage now. He's planting the seeds now to make that happen, to ensure that is going to happen for you and for me. And right now, at the end of December, because he's locked it in for 2024, it's the best performing stock. It's end of story. He's now saying, how do I get as much Bitcoin to make MicroStrategy the most powerful position that it possibly can be going forward? And that's what he's doing for an amazing 25, in my opinion, in this person's opinion. And I know a lot of you have that opinion as well. We just need patience. 6, the price of Bitcoin would not be this high if it weren't for Saylor buying manically, and our share price will likely be lower if you weren't buying. So remember, if Saylor wasn't hitting the ATM and buying so much Bitcoin just wouldn't even be this high in the first place. So we got to remember, even though it seems like it may be temporarily suppressing the stock price a little bit, overall, it's a great thing, in my opinion. The NNAV is actually quite high compared to where it's been most of the year. And if you look back over the year, it's still quite high. It's not as high as it got to, of course, when it got really overheated. It's not as high as I think it's going to go to, but it's still pretty high right now. And 8, and regardless, the NNAV is a ridiculous measurement anyway. We're so misunderstood and undervalued by the market, and by we, she means MicroStrategy, which makes it a great time to accumulate shares. 9, he literally warned the options market that his priority is accumulation. His priority is accumulation. He told people that. So people with short-term thinking should have listened to him and realized he's not looking for short-term metrics right now. This is a long-term play. He is a multi-year thinker. Number 10, we are probably going to spring up to a 3x plus MNAV aggressively once the big buys come in the coming days, especially if Bitcoin breaks through this $108,000 wall, and then everyone can have happier Christmas, just my 10 sats. So we'll see if that happens. We didn't break through the 108 wall. Maybe we will today, tomorrow, the next day, who knows when, and we'll see what happens. But I hope regardless that you have a happy Christmas, because you are holding what I think is going to be the best performing stock in 2025. What would make it the best performing stock every year for the past 5 years. So let's just be happy that we have Michael Saylor knowing what he's doing behind the scenes, working hard with his team of engineers, with his team of brilliant minds, doing what they need to do, front running the US government, front running other nation states, front running pensions, front running just the multi-trillion-dollar assets that are going to flow into Bitcoin, hence into MicroStrategy, not if, but when. And as promised, I have some great videos that you are not going to want to miss. So sit back, relax, enjoy these 4 videos, and I'll be right back with you.
3 years ago, across the Atlantic, the president of El Salvador decided to invest in Bitcoins for his country. At the time, he was ridiculed by the political class and the IMF. He now shows a 100% return, with hundreds of millions of dollars available for his people, for security, and for the sovereignty of his country. The whole world is now getting ready to take advantage of this revolution in decentralized finance. Donald Trump is going to create a strategic reserve of Bitcoin for the United States. Jerome Powell, the chairman of the US Federal Reserve, is now talking about digital gold. Bitcoin is skyrocketing. And what about the European Union? What is the European Union doing? It's squandering our money on unbelievable waste. It continues to accumulate tragically inflationary deficits. It insists on regulating, taxing, and holding back. It's time to change the paradigm. It's time to protect our people from inflation and the poor economic choices of our states. It's time to say no to the totalitarian temptations of the European Central Bank, which wants to impose a fully controlled digital euro. We don't want this dystopian world where a European bureaucrat could tomorrow ban us from certain transactions and even kick us out of the banking system with a click, just for something we said on social media or for an opinion that doesn't sit well. It's time to bet on freedom. It's time for our states to invest in Bitcoin to build national strategic reserves. It's time to develop the mining industry. We, the French, hold the cards with our nuclear advantage. Let's stop taxing cryptocurrency holders more and more. It's their intelligence, their risks, their sleepless nights that have built their savings. Let's allow them to protect themselves from the crazy spiral you've created. Public deficit that drives money creation, which creates inflation, leading to chaos. Let's dare to be free. Let's stop being afraid of our own shadow. Let's stay true to the ambition of our civilization.
What Saylor's doing right now, I think, is loading the spring. I think what he's doing for Q1 of 2025 is that he's compressing that spring. He's loading up as much Bitcoin as he can on the balance sheet so that for Q1 2025, it can run. Now, I don't know what the long-term implications of that will be for like FASB, for instance, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around all the details for FASB. But if you think about it in terms of now they're going to have more favorable accounting rules, it makes sense for him to want to stack the deck for 2025. And I don't know what your opinion on this, Ben, is, but to stack the deck for 2025 so that when it runs, they get as much maximum benefit for it as immediately as possible, right? Because otherwise, why is he doing it now? He has to be front running something, in my mind. Otherwise, why is he being so aggressive? He has to be front running either a potential, U.S. Reserve, or he has to be front running the potential impact in terms of the accounting changes on the perception of his business for 2025. Also, I think he's going to start changing the narrative on how people are perceiving the Bitcoin on the balance sheet and start really, really pushing the earnings narrative. That would be my guess in terms of what he's likely to change up for 2025 and be more aggressive with, because everyone focuses on the Bitcoin yield, right? And people are also focusing on the Bitcoin per share, but I think the Bitcoin per share is where the real tea is. He can use that as a form of earnings and say, take a look at all the earnings that I've produced per share in the form of Bitcoin for the shareholders. And that number is only going to become more and more ridiculous as Bitcoin's price appreciates. Now, of course, this is all dependent upon Bitcoin doing what we think it's going to do, right? Some people are saying Bitcoin's going to 1 million. I don't think it is. I think at the upper end, we're going to see is 250,000 to 400,000 is the range we're looking at. I also think we should prepare for max pain in the sense that we hit like 175 and then we just drop down to the 120s and we stay there for the next 2 years, right? I think that'll be the max pain scenario where people in the market don't know what the hell to do. You'll have people shorting, you'll have people longing, and Bitcoin is still going to do this. And I'll be very curious to see what MicroStrategy does in that environment. I still think it will thrive in that kind of environment. So I'm not really worried about it. I think that once Q1 2025 hits, we're going to see a move. That's my guess. I think we're going to move up into the end of the year, and then by Q1 2025, we should see a larger move. I also think larger trends of seasonality for MicroStrategy lines up with that since 2020 when they adopted the Bitcoin Treasury strategy. Also, the seasonality for Bitcoin lines up with that as well, post-election years. I think we have a lot of positive tailwinds that are coming up, and people just need to just relax. It's fine. We're going to be fine. And if you are a believer in a long-term thesis, all of this price action right now should just be noise to you. If you are not a long-term believer and you're just looking for a number to go up, maybe this is not the time for you. This is not the investment for you, because you're going to get chopped up trying to say to yourself, oh, the number's going up now, maybe I should sell. Then you're going to sell, and then you're going to end up, behind the eight ball again, right? So I think everyone needs to really lock in their investment thesis and then say to themselves, either you're going to be long term or you're going to be short term. If you're long term, this is all noise. I'm long term, Ben is long term, everyone in True North is long term. So we just kind of take this stuff in stride.
We've all heard about Bitcoin, but what exactly is Bitcoin? Let's start at the beginning, around 100,000 years ago. Throughout history, we've used all kinds of objects to help make transactions and store value. From seashells, to shiny metals, to paper notes. That's because the value isn't just in the object itself, it's in how much we agree the object represents. So the object can be many things, even, as it turns out, a string of digital code. The internet changed everything. It connected the world, changing how we communicate, work, shop, and manage finances. It also opened the door to a new kind of currency and asset. Enter Bitcoin, a digital currency not governed by banks or governments, but by its global community of users. And that provided new potential benefits. Bitcoin exchanges happen person to person, anywhere in the world, in near real time and for near zero transaction costs, saving money, time, and opening financial opportunity to those without access to a banking system. Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million Bitcoins. This hard-coded rule controls supply, purchasing power, and helps avoid the potential misuse of printing more and more currency, which can contribute towards inflation. All transactions take place on a digital ledger called the blockchain. It's a digital platform to move value where everyone can see every transaction. Bitcoin is no longer seen as the radical idea it was 15 years ago. Over 500 million people around the world now use cryptocurrency, with over 50% holding or investing in Bitcoin, making it the most popular cryptocurrency by far. Some use Bitcoin to transfer value across borders and for purchases. Some see Bitcoin as an investment, given its limited supply and uniqueness relative to other financial assets. And for those in certain countries, its value goes far deeper, potentially offering greater financial autonomy by serving as an alternative to local currencies. Bitcoin is an emerging global monetary alternative. Time will tell how far adoption will go. But next time you see a seashell or shiny metal, think about how humans' idea of money has evolved throughout history.
We issue securities backed by Bitcoin, and the $500 trillion capital market I'm referring to, they have to buy securities. They need regulated options. They need regulated derivatives. They need regulated equity, or they need regulated fixed income securities. That means it has to come from a publicly traded, regulated company like MicroStrategy. And we are unique because we were the first company to build a large pool of Bitcoin as collateral. So if you actually accumulate $40 billion of Bitcoin, then you can issue these tranches of high performance equity or low risk fixed income instruments. And then all of the other traders, they can construct all of their various trades and all their derivatives based on those instruments. And they can do it on the NASDAQ or the CME or the New York Stock Exchange from their compliant institutions. And they could not buy Bitcoin, and they cannot trade on crypto exchanges. They can't trade on Durabit or Binance, and they can't trade offshore, and they can't hold the underlying commodity, either because it's illegal or because it's against their charter. And they promised their executives, their board of directors, and their limited partners and investors that they would only trade public company equity, options, fixed income, convertible bonds. So that's what they do. That's what they need in order to function. And what we do is we convert crypto capital, crude crypto capital, we convert it into refined traditional securities. And in the process, we strip away some of the volatility, we strip away some of the risk, we strip away some of the performance. And that stuff that we strip away, that they want stripped away, becomes leverage for our common stock, and we give it to the company and the common stock shareholders. That's how we outperform Bitcoin. And that's why we're more volatile than Bitcoin, because we took the volatility away from the fixed income investors that didn't want it, and we gave it to equity investors and derivative investors that need it. And we're just that gateway sitting in the middle, managing that.
And there you have it, my friends. I hope you really enjoyed today's episode on MicroStrategy Today, the only daily show bringing you a show 7 days a week about MicroStrategy's genius, Michael Saylor's genius, and having a lot of fun doing it. Remember, this is not financial advice. Consult a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. And again, a big shout out to our brand new sponsor, NordVPN. If you're not protecting yourself with a VPN, check out Nord. They have an amazing holiday special right now. It's just a little over $3 a month or something, through my special link. And my link is right there in the show notes. So check it out. Support the show. Protect yourself. Check out NordVPN. I hope that you do. And as always, as Michael Saylor says, there is no second best.